Why the world is still silent. The continuing genocide in Gaza after the ceasefire. After more than a year of war, Gaza remains one of the most dangerous places in the world. Despite multiple international declarations of humanitarian pauses and temporary ceasefires, the killing of civilians continues. Airstrikes persist, hospitals are attacked, and entire neighborhoods are erased. According to the United Nations, Gaza has become a mass grave for children. Yet the international response remains paralyzed. The United States continues to provide weapons and political protection. The European Union hides behind statements but takes no action. Arab states, including the UAE, maintain silence and economic cooperation with Israel. This article analyzes why the genocide continues, why major governments refuse to act, and what international law says about the responsibility of states enabling these crimes. 1. The ceasefire that never existed. On paper, several ceasefires have been announced since late 2023. In practice, Israel never stopped military strikes. Documented violations. UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, reported multiple Israeli airstrikes within 24 hours after the declared ceasefire. Doctors Without Borders, MSF, confirmed attacks on hospitals and medical convoys during the supposed pause. UNRWA documented ongoing shelling in the central and southern Gaza Strip, where civilians were ordered to seek safe refuge. Conclusion: the ceasefire existed only in statements, not on the ground. 2. Civilian deaths, numbers the world tries to ignore. As of the latest UN reported estimates, over 70,000 Palestinians killed. More than 80% of victims are women and children. More than 20,000 children killed or missing. Over 2 million civilians displaced. 90% of housing was damaged or destroyed. 90% of hospitals. Non-operational famine was officially declared in several areas. These numbers are not political propaganda. They come from UNRWA, UNICEF, Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International. The Gaza Health Ministry, which has provided data historically accepted by the UN and Israel. Under international law, this level of destruction and civilian targeting falls under the legal definition of genocide and crimes against humanity. 3. International law. What Israel is accused of. The Genocide Convention, 1948. A state commits genocide when it intends to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group by killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm, deliberately inflicting conditions of life calculated to destroy the group, preventing births, transferring children. Gaza fits at least 3 criteria. Mass killing of civilians, starvation as a weapon of war, destruction of hospitals and humanitarian infrastructure, forced displacement of an entire population. The International Court of Justice. South Africa, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and others filed genocide cases against Israel. The ICJ ruled that there is a plausible risk of genocide. Israel must prevent genocidal acts. Israel must allow humanitarian aid. Israel ignored all orders. 4. Why the U.S. is silent. Political and military interests. The United States is the single biggest reason the war continues. Facts. The U.S. provides over $3.8 billion in military aid to Israel yearly. Washington vetoed multiple UN Security Council ceasefire resolutions. The Pentagon continues to send weapons, bombs, and ammunition. Officially, the U.S. calls for restraint. In practice, it supplies the weapons used to destroy Gaza. American silence is not diplomatic neutrality, it is active participation. If genocide is proven, U.S. complicity becomes a legal question, not just a moral one. 5. Why the European Union is silent. Hypocrisy and double standards. Europe speaks loudly on human rights in Africa, Asia, and Eastern Europe. But regarding Gaza, no military sanctions, no weapons embargo, no cutting of diplomatic or economic ties. European leaders use phrases like both sides must show restraint, ignoring the basic fact. One side holds the army, tanks, warplanes, navy, drones, and blockade. The other is a civilian population trapped in 365 square kilometers. Europe's silence is driven by fear of criticizing Israel, dependence on U.S. foreign policy, influence of pro-Israel lobbying groups, economic and technological partnerships with Israel. 6. The UAE, normalization and silence. Before 2020, the UAE publicly supported Palestinian statehood. After signing the Abraham Accords, the UAE opened full diplomatic relations with Israel, signed massive trade, military and technology agreements, became one of Israel's closest regional partners. During the genocide in Gaza, the UAE made almost no diplomatic response. Economic profit arms and surveillance cooperation U.S. Political pressure desire to be seen as a regional power friendly to Israel and the West. This silence is not neutrality, it is complicity. 7. Why the world allows genocide to continue. No cost for Israel, no sanctions, no embargo, no accountability in the ICC, no pressure from allies. If a state can drop bombs on hospitals and face zero consequences, there is no reason to stop. B. Palestinians have no powerful allies. The states that support Palestine do not control global finance or global military coalitions. C. Western media censorship. Major Western news outlets. Underreporting civilian deaths, use passive language, died instead of were killed, give more airtime to Israeli government statements, block Palestinian journalists and restrict social media reporting. 8. What happens next? Legal accountability. Even if the war stops today, criminal accountability remains. Possible legal actions. International Criminal Court, ICC. Investigation for genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity. UN General Assembly emergency session. Sanctions and International Tribunal. Universal jurisdiction laws. Countries can arrest and prosecute individuals for war crimes. Used previously in Argentina, Rwanda, Yugoslavia cases. Arms embargo. Binding under international law when states commit atrocity crimes. If proven, states that provided weapons enabling genocide, including the US and EU members, can face legal responsibility. Silence is not neutrality, it is participation. Gaza is not a tragedy. Gaza is a crime with perpetrators and accomplices. Israel continues military assault during declarations of ceasefire. The United States funds and protects the war. The European Union condemns in words but acts in silence. Arab governments, including the UAE, continue normalization and economic cooperation. The genocide continues because the world allows it. History will not ask how many statements were written. History will ask, why did the world watch and do nothing while Gaza was erased?